Hello and welcome. It's Natasa Stojanovic, and today I'm sharing the phases of death and rebirth, the Wayshower's journey. What I'm sharing here is about the phases we go through as we are moving through what's called death and rebirth cycles, recalibration. Sometimes it's also called transitions, it's called realignment. So if you're a Wayshower, you probably have had not only one death and rebirth cycle, but so many, and you know what I'm talking about. And if you're familiar with Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, where the hero goes from initiation and then into these adventures, and he has to, slay the dragon, and then he comes back to his village and shares his adventures and helps the village rise in a way. This is a bit of a different description because I have gone into what I've experienced in my own life and looked into what my clients have experienced, and I've come up with these phases. The reason for this video is to help you truly recognize where you're at. And just also sometimes, our mind, of course, we do it from our heart. We live from our heart as Wayshowers. We're connected. We know why we're here in general. But when these phases come in, it can get dense. It can get a bit tough. And so this might help you to recognize where you're at. And I'm also giving tips on what's important in this phase. Very short, I might do videos about the phases like phase 1 and then give a bit more information, but this is an overview for you. Okay, something to note is that the phases are not linear. They are not linear. You might find yourself in one phase and then go through a mini cycle of the whole death and rebirth cycle and then continue on. Or you might find that you're kind of partly in this phase and then in this phase. You can jump back and forth. So just that's something to note, and it's completely normal. It's part of the journey. What is great about recognizing where we are is that we can remember what are the tendencies that come up in our patterns, and we can shift out of them more quickly. So before I dive in, allow me to introduce myself to those who are new. I'm welcoming all of you. And for those who don't know me, my name is Natasa Stojanovic. I'm an ocean light language channel, a healer, teacher, coach, and I help Wayshowers step into their power. I help them literally align back to their original human divine blueprint. So that's what your soul came in with, your unique energy blueprint, so that you can really live your dreams, your highest expression, and your soul calling. Because our vibrancy, our well-being, our joy, our dreams are connected to why we're here. It's not only that we're here to elevate consciousness on the planet, we're also here to bring in the light into our physical bodies, into the world, and into our own lives. That's how we are Wayshowers, right? And that's what I help people do. So it's about, owning your truth. It's about releasing the fears of being seen. It's about stepping into self-worth and self-trust, connecting more closely to our highest guidance. And also physical, emotional trauma, like just releasing the conditioning to come back to who we are in truth. So without further ado, back to the phases. The phases of death and rebirth. A Wayshower's journey, because we're all making that journey over and over and over again. So the first phase is initiation, just like in the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell. I first called it the disruptor, because many times we are thrown into a new life experience. There might be a relationship that changes, a completely unexpected thing, or I've had clients who the landlord suddenly says like, wow, you need to leave, and then the whole cascade of change, of realignment starts happening, right? Brings up inner turmoil and so on. So usually it's either a disruptor, quote unquote, something that happens from the outside, life throws change at you, or And that's why it's initiation and not disruptor, because sometimes it is that longing in our heart. We have that long longing in our heart, that yearning. And maybe for a while we've put it aside and it starts getting stronger and stronger. And at some point there is this feeling like, it is time. It is time for me to change this. It is time for me to step into more of who I am, into my dreams, into my expression. And so those can be the initiations, the first phase. Now, what happens in that phase, what we tend to do and how you can recognize yourself is that very often at the beginning of that, we start having resistance, whether it's something that happened from the outside or something we feel from the inside. We try to go back to be normal. We escape sometimes, procrastinate, we just distract ourselves. That's a tendency that we have because it means getting out of our comfort zone. And my tip for that phase, if you find yourself doing that, if you know you're in that phase, is to really create that daily space. And that's for all phases. The sooner we start, the better and the easier we will move through. And that is daily practice of stillness, heart coherence, stillness, and just being present with what's happening, what's really there. Being present with what is, starting to accept what is, and creating that space so we can even notice. So that is for the first stage. Now, the second stage I call bottleneck. It's like that contraction, density. You know, there's more. You know, you're called into something new, but you don't know how. You've accepted that it's the thing that you need to do. Started accepting or have accepted, but now how, where, who with, who without? What is the new? You're sitting in the unknown. And many times in that phase, we feel like we have lost connection to our highest guidance. We were so used to having that deep connection to our highest guidance, to our intuition. And we suddenly feel like, am I even psychic anymore? Am I even intuitive anymore? Can I even listen to my heart? Is that true? Is that my head talking? We start doubting ourselves often. Self-judgment might creep in. And we might feel confused, frustrated, or powerless. Powerless because it's like, whoa, where do I go? What should I do? There's nobody, I'm alone. And we feel alone sometimes in that phase because it's that dense thing. And we don't yet know, we haven't moved through that phase. And it's a normal phase. It has to happen because what's happening in that phase that is great is that which is not aligned becomes so unbearable that we really gather that power to move out of it. And that's also my tip. If you remember that apart from what I said, of course, daily practice, feeling what you feel, being with yourself, but then just that knowing that, oh, okay, this is the not aligned thing and it's unbearable. And you're aware of that, gathering the power that you can truly, truly, truly move on then and allow yourself that phase and to gather the power to be angry, to be frustrated and feel your feelings, feel that frustration and start moving through that. Also, another tip in that is just like start asking for support. In that phase, because we feel often contracted and it's harder to do our daily practices to feel back in our bliss and our expansion, we also often forget to ask our spirit team for help. So ask for help. The third phase is what I call choice point. And that's reminds me just of humanity as a whole. The choice point is where we choose to see possibility. The choice point is where we commit to change. The choice point is where we commit to investing in ourselves. investing the resources that it takes for that change to happen. It's that choice, commitment, that's it. I'm moving through. I need to change something. What is it? Show me. That is the area of the choice point. And that stage can take very short. It can take a while until we really get to that deep, deep heart commitment. But once we're there, it's where everything shifts. You can also call it the tipping point, but it takes your choice and your commitment. And so from that moment, when we start receiving help, my tip is not start receiving help when we, from that moment where we make that conscious, deeply heart-rooted choice and commitment, stay with it, because everything that's not aligned wants to survive. And it's not bad. It's just a part of you that wants to protect you. These parts that want to protect you from moving on are going to get louder. They don't have bad intention, but they don't have the information it takes. And so just stay with it. Love yourself through these inner maybe conflicts, like that protection mechanism. It's not self-sabotage. It's your protection mechanism of your subconscious parts. And so just stay with it. You know, you have decided, and just relax. No, it's okay. And there are techniques that I teach and I support people with, how to move through that with love, so they can feel safe as well. And then we start taking inspired action, and that's stage 4. In inspired action, we start really going for that help. We have the first synchronicities come in because you made that choice. And now the synchronicity comes in. Oh, look at that. Here's the person I was asking for. And you might engage in a course, in a session, in a mentorship program, or any other program that will support you in exactly what you set out the intention to receive, to create in the world. Also, it might be that you choose to do it through self-help, but you take the action, you start amping up your self-care, you start amping up your self-love, deepening it. You start doing the inner work and the outer work. So maybe it requires a step. With the example of the landlord, you're now with that new commitment of what exactly you want to create for your next home, moving out, looking at houses, remembering you can have everything you need, and you're supported by the universe because you feel more supported now, and things start happening. You go out, you talk to a friend, suddenly they remember somebody, blah, blah, blah. So this is when the baby steps start happening, and one baby step after the other, things start lightening up. You're doing your inner work, and you're taking little inspired baby steps in the right direction. My tip is, if you engage in a mentorship program, private sessions, course, or anything, be clear with yourself first, what you really need, what you really want, what your expectations are, how you'd like to be supported. And if you're in a private setting, do communicate clearly, and communicate also during the process. Because remember, I have a little animal, I'm sorry, oh cutie, okay. Because remember, this is a co-creation process. You are the captain of your ship. You are the artist of your canvas. You're creating your life. And so that is a little tendency that we have in that stage, that we just give it over to the person. Of course, you open up to receiving. When you're in a session, you allow yourself to be guided, and you're always checking with your heart, and you're communicating what you need, and remembering you are the boss of your life, not of the mentorship, but of your life. So taking responsibility, communicating clearly what you want, where you're going, and so on. Okay, and now the last one. Okay, actually it's the second last stage or phase, however you want to call it, new alignment. Now things start happening. And many times it's from the moment that we engage into receiving help and we really open and take the first steps, whether that help comes from the spiritual realm and a physical realm, a friend, a colleague, a professional, a mentor, doesn't matter. The moment we make that decision, things start already happening. And as you're staying with it and taking your baby steps and taking the bigger steps, and suddenly you're taking the leap. And so that new alignment is starting to show. Bigger synchronicities start happening. Things start moving and you're moving through, you're healing. Healing as to coming back to the truth of who we are, not there's something to fix with you. You're transmuting your wounds that are keeping you stuck. You're moving through all the inner work and you're moving through the outer steps, and it starts getting lighter and easier. And now suddenly new things come in. You're getting the activations, you're getting the downloads again. It's moving, you're in flow. So here you recognize you start being in flow, even if there's challenges, but there is flow. And the only tip I have for that stage is remember the truth of who you are. You can feel it and trust that, trust yourself. And there's a little secret that there's a sixth stage, a sixth phase. And that sixth stage is go back to one because there's a little transition phase and then we're going back to number one. We're going through another cycle. Not because we choose to do so always, but at some point you're aligned, everything that can take, like the alignment phase, it can take like a few months, it can take a few years. I don't know for you. For me, it usually takes a few months or weeks, depending on where I'm at. And there's another cycle happening. Now, some are really big with big leaps. Some are small. Some pattern showing up where you go like, actually, now it's time to release this, to transmute it, and to come back to self more clearly. So that were the stages. I hope they were helpful. Let me know in the comments, and let me know something in the comments. Which stage, which phase do you feel you're in right now? Because we're all moving through huge changes right now. Some of us smaller, some of us bigger, but we're all moving through change, just like our whole planet is, humanity is. And so where are you at right now? Let me know. Let me know where you're at. And if you like this video, subscribe to my channel. When I post more about the Wayshower's journey, when I post more about spiritual development, when I post more about Wayshowers realigning with our true, pure, unique energy blueprint, then you'll be notified and you can watch the videos. Also check out the description underneath. And if you liked it, share it with your friends. And I'm really, really looking forward to reading your comments and I will answer. So sending you much, much love and talk to you again. Bye.